Welcome back to 13C. I wasn't planning on doing this video today, but some subscribers have been inundating me with messages about a video they saw, and I recently just reposted it up on our Instagram. It's from a gentleman who led a rally in Louisville last weekend, maybe the weekend before that, in which 3 people got shot when there was an apparent negligent discharge. So the information contained in that video, I can't speak specifically about the firearm that was used because I never got a really clean look at it in the video clips that I saw. But we're going to focus in on what he talks about as far as AR-15s, specifically safety, how guns work, how they fire, how they don't fire. And the reason is there are a lot of people that are showing up to these rallies that are looking to this guy for information and education on firearms. Please don't listen to this guy. He has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to firearms. None at all. It's horrible, the information. I'm going to explain to you. We're on the range here. We're on a private closed range here, and I'm going to explain to you right now why he's wrong, demonstrate why he's wrong, and go through some of these other applications, because the information that's been presented, not just in this, but I've seen some other clips over the past couple of weeks, are going to get some people hurt, and I don't want to see any innocent people get hurt. I don't want to see people who are trying to show up to have a peaceful protest get injured. You know, what happened to Breonna Taylor was a tragedy, to say the least, and it needs to be fully investigated, and I trust and hope in the system that justice will be served by the time they complete their investigation. At any point, we're not going to get into any of this. I want to focus on the facts about what we have here. So this is an AR-15. The manufacturer model number on this is actually XM15E2S. The reason why I selected this one is because it looks most closely resembles what he had in the video. So I know he calls it a Bullpup. We'll get into that in a little bit. It's not a Bullpup. Just because the manufacturer's model number says something different, it doesn't change the fact this is an AR-15. Every manufacturer has a different model number, right? So this is an AR-15. Doesn't look exactly the same. It's got a free floated barrel, it's got a rail, it's got an optic, it's got telescoping stock, various things. Functionally, it's the same thing.
Anyway, matter of fact, let me demonstrate something for y'all. Y'all hold on a second. We're here on the Morning Mental. I'm going to show you just how stupid some people are. Give me a weapon. This weapon right here? Yes. This is a Bullpup. Give me the Bullpup. Yes, sir. This is my first weapon that I ever bought. I bought this weapon back in 1990 in Germany. This is an XR-15 shorty. We call it a Bullpup because this bitch got kicked to it. This bitch will knock you down. The interesting thing about this weapon is if I pull back the bolt, see that? See the bolt? There's no bullet in there. Pay very close attention. If I'm not paying attention, and I take this weapon and I bang it, look what just happened. The bolt goes forward. The weapon has fired. I didn't touch the trigger. I just simply banged it on the table. If you sit down and you bang this on the ground, you will blow your head off. It happens in basic training every day. And you all get a letter and a flag saying your son was killed in a training accident. You don't have to have your hand on the trigger. Let me show you again. I'm going to sit down. I'm tired. You just committed an incident. Your hand was not on the trigger. Doesn't make a difference whether, and it was on safe. Unless you understand weapons for real, don't you listen to these mother no intention of ever picking up one, and who don't understand that weapons go off by themselves all the time.
So how does this weapon work? What he did was he pulled the bolt back, locked it, push in on this button right here to lock your bolt back, and then he proceeds to give an explanation as to how this fires. So whether you slam it on the ground, and we'll do that in a minute, or whether you push this release, the same thing's going to happen. When you push the release, the bolt goes forward. That's all that happens. The bolt's going forward. We're going to get into some other specifics later on, but we're going to, for conciseness up front here, we're going to go with this so we don't lose anybody getting off in the weeds. Bolt goes forward. How do you load this gun? How do you load it? With a loaded magazine? Stick a loaded mag in, and then guess what? You hit this button, the bolt goes forward. Round does not fire. Does not fire. The idea that he says that, he makes a claim that, and I'm sorry I'm laughing, because I'm laughing at the claims this gentleman makes because they're so wild and they're so outlandish that anyone who has, honestly, even a cursory knowledge of the AR-15 finds it laughable. In any event, the bolt goes forward. In order for it to fire, something has to cause that firing pin to strike the primer. The bolt going home isn't going to do that, right? Because every day when we're out there, we're loading mags, loading rounds in, we send the bolt home, doesn't fire. In any event, what happens is the firing pin hits the primer, that's what causes it to go off. Whether you strike it hard on the ground and it goes forward, I just used the palm of my hand right there, it's not going to fire a round. I'm actually do that again so I don't have to get down on the ground here and do that. And actually put some ear protection in. So while we're talking about this, while I'm doing that, because, you know, well, it's not going to fire when I send the bolt home, obviously. But when I pull the trigger to show that it is a live round and to show that it won't do as this gentleman's claiming, and again, we'll get further off into the weeds on this topic in a minute, but I want to make sure people understand what we're talking about here. I don't want there to be any kind of confusion about what we're talking about. So anyway, lock the bolt home. There it is. Mag, rounds. All right, so we know it's that bolt. I'm not going to do it. Watch, check. Oh my goodness, it didn't fire. Is it a dud? Did I remove the firing pin? No. Nope. And notice I'm not taking the safety off. I'm not removing the safety because the safety's already off. Because when the gun's not cocked, you can't put the safety on. All right, so there you go. Here, let me dump the mag, dump the round out. All right, the gun does not fire when you put a round forward. And just for the sake of this, I had another round in there. We're going to do it again. I'm going to take it, we're going to lock the bolt home, just like he did. All right. So, all right, number one, what he just said, complete and utter BS. Hopefully you've seen that right here. So he made some other claims as well, such as soldiers getting shot every day in, shooting themselves specifically for training accidents. Does not happen. There are some tragic incidents where service members are killed in basic training for various reasons. This isn't the reason. Not at all. There are many competent fire instructors out there, and I think it's very, very important that you get good, competent instruction, especially if you're going to be carrying a firearm out in public, especially if it's going to be loaded. Get a little bit of training. Educate yourself before you go out. A great gentleman in that neck of the woods is actually Kevin with No Other Choice Firearms. I'll put a link down below to his YouTube page. Go ahead and check him out. Amazing guy, doing a hell of a lot of great work, and certainly someone you should be listening to over this Yahoo, pretending. I have no idea. The things that come out of his mouth are so outlandish, it's not even funny. So anyway, this is an AR-15. This is a Bullpup. So what's the difference between the two? Generally speaking, Bullpups have the magazine and the part of the receiver that accepts the magazine behind the trigger guard. So the magazine goes in here. We'll let you see it better from this side, right? This is a Bullpup, and I've got about 6 other Bullpups I could bring out here and show you, but these are Bullpups. These are AR-15s. These two, functionally same gun. They look cosmetically different, but functionally the same gun. I have no idea what he's talking about when he says Bullpup. Thanks for joining us here today. I appreciate it. Check the links down below. We'll put in a link there for Kevin, so you can check him out. There's tons of other great firearms instructors all over the country. I'm not necessarily singling him out for one. I just know he's right there in that area of the country, and he would be a great choice. When you hit the bottom of this, the gun does not go off. Now I know there'll probably be one comment down below that if you got some gunk stuck in your firing pin and it's protruded out because you haven't maintained this thing in, you know, I don't know, 50,000 rounds, and the firing pin is stuck forward because it's malfunctioning, theoretically could, but the exact same thing would happen regardless of whether you smacked it on the bottom or you simply push this button right here and sent the bolt home. It had the exact same kind of malfunction. The fact that this hit the ground and sent the bolt home didn't do that. Functionally, we'll pop the pin out here real quick and we'll show you. So when the bolt moves back, this little catch right here, and you can see it move right there, see it flipping around? The only thing that's happening is, you notice that when I let go, it automatically comes down. There's a spring that pushes it back down. So when you smack this, what happens is the bolt moves back just a hair, and that is what causes this to slip down in that split second and let the bolt come forward. But again, as we pointed out, that is not how this works. The guns don't fire like that. That's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. There's a firing pin right in there. I'm gonna push this bolt all the way back, and then with my finger, there's the firing pin right there. I'll push it forward and you'll see it, look, it just stuck out. That's how it works. That's how these things work. 13cgunreviews.com, great place to find us. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, MeWe, Parlor, all those other places. I would love to get you some more information if you want it, get you hooked up with some good trainers. I don't do training. That's not my, well, I take training. I'm not a trainer, but I would love to get you hooked up with some people in your area who will help you out. Please educate yourselves on what's going on here. If you hear somebody spouting gibberish and it doesn't make sense, look it up, check it out, find the facts, because I don't want to see any innocent people getting hurt here who shouldn't. I don't know exactly what happened on that day. I've watched some of the sketchy cell phone video. It's really jerky. It's not in frame. It's not done really well, almost all the things that I saw from it. Whatever it was that happened that day, 99.99999% of the time, especially with guns, just don't go off by themselves. It's almost always a negligent discharge because someone's finger pulled the trigger, or because, and what probably happened, if I had to make the best estimated guess that I could, what probably happened is somebody had loose crap gear on that wasn't fitted properly, or with all kinds of loose stuff on. If you look at the guy we're talking about here today, he's got all these straps and junk hanging off of him that serve no purpose whatsoever. Something like that is what gets inside the trigger guard that causes the trigger to get pulled backwards. That's how what's commonly referred to by the media as accidents happen, when in actuality it's not an accident, it's negligence, because someone had to set that situation up in order for that failure to occur. If you allow your rifle, the trigger of your rifle, to get hung up and pushed down on a piece of gear that's on you, be it straps, buttons, flaps, whatever the case may be, it's no different than pulling the trigger yourself with your own finger. Hopefully this helps, and I don't know, it's hot as hell out here today. I'm gonna go inside. Take care, stay safe. Remember, everybody, we're all part of the same community. We're all trying to make a better world for ourselves. Let's be happier. Let's join together where we can find common ground. And for the love of God, please stop spreading misinformation. So it's the end of the day, it's getting late, and I wanted to run back out here really quickly and cover this one last thing. Because it's the internet, I'm sure somebody out there somewhere is going to say that the palm of my hand is not as hard as the ground. I can't simulate the impact or whatever else. I want to make sure it's absolutely clear, the understanding on the function of this firearm. The only thing holding the bolt back right now, it's under spring tension. The only thing holding it back is this small bolt catch release I showed earlier. If you move the bolt back about barely even a millimeter, the bolt catch will spring back down and then the bolt goes forward. That's how the bolt closes. So think about it in your mind. If you're banging a gun down and the bolt goes forward, there's a spring there that's pushing it. It's not the banging of the gun into the ground. We're going to do it, but it's not the banging of the gun into the ground that's causing it. It's this spring moving forward. It's a natural function of the gun. And I will show you, I'm going to demonstrate this twice here for you real quick. So we put it in, and we're going to use the ground here and do it, because, grass, ground, it's decently hard packed, but similar it looks like to what they were standing on. Right? Live round. Okay? Bolt lock, look, so check it out. Bolt locked back normally, because on an empty magazine, bolt catch gets pushed up by the follower, which holds the bolt back and keeps it from going forward. You insert another mag with another round, and we'll just throw that one in there, it's going to go forward. So I really want to push home this point just to make sure there's no misunderstanding of what I've tried to convey here. We do our best on here to educate folks. If you like what you see here, feel free to check us out on Patreon, support us in other ways. We've got a swag shop with unique swag and stuff like that. We've got channel shirts and everything else if you're interested in that sort of thing. But I want to make absolutely clear what we're showing here so nobody misunderstands what's happening. It doesn't matter the force that happens. Right now, if I push the bolt release on the side here, the bolt's going to go forward, no different than hitting it on the ground or even smacking it on the butt with my hand. It's that little tiny bit of movement that allows the spring to put it forward, and the spring is pushing the bolt forward, and it functions like normal, just like right now. This is normal. This is how the gun is meant to function. People aren't falling over dead in boot camp because, you know, their gun hit the ground, let's say, you know, as this guy described. It's not accurate, and I want to try and dispel those myths. It's important. Please find yourself some quality training. Plenty of people out there. Get educated. The First Amendment and the Second Amendment are first and second for a reason. They're the utmost importance to a constitutional republic, and we need for these rights to be exercised regularly and vigorously, but they need to be done safely. And if you're and I love peaceful protests where people are out with or without firearms, but if you're going to carry a gun in public and it's going to be loaded, you're just going to have rounds in it, please make sure you get at least some sort of training to make sure you're not endangering yourself or anyone else. Thanks everybody. Take care. Stay safe. Talk soon.